All right, so what we're going to do now is take a look at the data analysis tab, and we're going to check out this table. This table is called a pivot table, and pivot tables are really powerful, but you need to know what data you can show and what you can't show. For instance, your data over here in the columns can't be text, for instance. So we're looking for actual numbers and values. Now I've already conditioned these rows as percentages, and I've removed one decimal. So one decimal space. So we're showing only the tenths, not the hundreds. Okay, so let's go over what this pivot table is and how it's all set up. First of all, the pivot table, anytime that you click inside the pivot table, you're going to notice that the data is pulled right over here. So this pivot table editor pops up and then it says, okay, well, we're going to fetch the table from the tab session data, and it's going to be A1 through P928. Okay, so the next step is, okay, so what rows do you want? You click add and then you can select the rows. Now mine are drilling down from student to period to date. Now you may be saying, but I don't see that as a row. I see student, period, and date, but those appear to be columns. They're not really columns. It's basically saying, look, I want to collect the row of data for the student's name, but within that student's name, I also want the period data. And from within that period data, I want the dates. Now populate these values. Okay, so those are the rows: student, period, date. And I can drill down into that now. So I've created values. I didn't go with the columns, and the reason for that is because I'm just interested right now in the numbers and getting these numbers to calculate as a formula. So I typed in a formula. I said take the sum from goal one, divide it by the sum from goal one total. So the earned divided by the total, that'll give me my percentage. Okay. So right here, I can see average one, I can see average two. I don't have any data here for average three and four. But what you're going to notice is right here with all these dates, some of them are going to be blank, others are going to be populated. Okay. So I can see now when I provided sessions, when I did not, and I can also see, which goal was being serviced. Okay. Now, what's really cool is I can collapse these down and I can actually look at just period two and I can look at just period A. So again, uh, the ability to drill down into that data is really important. Now I noticed a couple of things. First of all, over here, my totals, even though the dates were closer to the same, the point values were really, really low here for both goal one and goal two, period eight. And if I look at just the averages, I can really tell that there is a drastic difference. So this particular student, I may have provided services for period two and period eight during the day. Um, and this is something also the teachers may have noticed, the student is getting fatigued by the end of the day. Well, it's having an impact on their performance. So now what I want to do is I want to look at the filters. So now I can filter out which students I see, which rows I see. Okay, so I'm going to filter by student. Instead of seeing all of them, watch this, I'm going to clear. I'm going to clear them all. And now I'm going to select just Breeze Fa. Right there's my Fabrice. Now, these are all fictitious names, by the way. Okay, so now I can look at Breeze Fa. I can see these scores. Okay, now I'm going to create a table. So I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to go into Chart. So I'm going to insert a chart, not a table, but a chart. Okay, so right here is my chart. And what I'm interested in doing is Well, I really want to find out if I can show just the averages here for goal 1, goal 2. That way I can show my administrators, well, look, this is the data and this is actually what it looks like. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to now click on data range. The data range is going to be from D4 to G13. So D4 to G13. Click enter. Well, that didn't show up right. The reason for that is because I need to be able to identify the periods. So I need another data range. So I need to add in a data range here. It's B4 colon B13. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating just these two ranges to look at. So remember, this is our row. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse those rows so I can actually compare the two. So now I'm comparing the two. I can see that goal 1 average for period 8, okay? Oh, that's not correct either. Oh, there's one other thing that I forgot to do. Do you see where it says aggregate? We don't want to aggregate that. Okay, that's much better. I can see that my goal 1, okay, average is 60% right here, 60%. It's even hitting that line. Compared to period 2, where it's actually at 80%. Okay. Now, one of the things that we can do, and you can actually click on switch rows and columns, and that'll clean it up so that you can actually read it a little bit easier. Um, but this will compare, and this is just by averages now, and this one is again by the periods, and it does say period total. You can, I'm not sure if you can actually edit the names, and I think that's something to play around with a little bit more. Um, but you definitely want to be, yep, right here. So where it says title, you can just get rid of that, and I can say periods. So because I'm separating this information out by periods, and I do want the person to know that. And this count by date, I don't want that. That's just incorrect. So now I can see just my percentages and I can see my periods. And while it does say total, I'm not certain again that you can change the title here, the data title, because it's pulling straight from there. But at any rate, I think the information now is pretty clear that we're looking at um, goals, goal performance based off of period. So we can see now that the data is strongly suggesting that something's going on by period 8 where the student can't perform or isn't performing as well. This is an example, though, of using a pivot table to be able to drill down into some of that data. Um, you saw me earlier switch up the rows. You can do that as well with some of the values in columns, and just have some fun with this and explore how you can use the pivot table. But this is an extremely powerful tool. One of the things you cannot do is you cannot show text information over here. Now, that's part of the reason why I have, for instance, the notes report. You can see over here that the notes will pop up. Now, if you want to change the objective, you just go over here and change the objective. And that should update everything. It may take it a little bit of time. So like you'll notice right here, it says feels really confident. And then over here, you can see that there's a change. So it's pulling this information, it's changing up